Well, it's been a while since my last tier list video and the meta changed quite a bit in CN. So I think it's time to do a update with all the new character that has came out since then. For this tier list, we'll start with the 5-star unit. Not all the 5 stars made it into the tier list, as I will only be showing the one considered relevant at the moment. Just think the rest of them as Babel tier. Let's start with Sonato and Bloom Party, with both of them placed in tier 2. While they are by no means meta, they have a very high return for low investment. Sonato can provide both damage boost and damage reduction for a single skill, and her attack skill can disarm at rank 2, which is great for certain stages. Bloom Party heals based on percentage missing health while also providing a single-use damage reduction with her ultimate. Another healer I want to throw in here is Yanasai in tier 1. She's a healer that is packed with survivability. Not only does she heal, she also can reduce the damage bonus of enemies. She provides a reasonable amount of shield to the team and gives them immunity to debuff for 1 turn with her ultimate. Immunity is more useful than it looks because it can prevent debuff that cannot be purified from being applied in first place. Kantira and Wooloo are niche supports, with Kantira in tier 2 and Wooloo in tier 3. Kantira can provide Jessica with the necessary poison stack to maximize her damage, mostly useful for those who doesn't have Soul Beam. You can also use her as a general support to help proc Blasphemous of Night. She does require P1 to have 100% coverage with the poison. As for Wooloo, she helps Spathodia to get access to the bonus critical damage on her ultimate. She's not really used unless Spathodia is at least P3, at which point Spathodia gains 70% bonus critical damage against enemy with at least 15 stack of burns. She will also be replaced by Isolde later. Cornbloom and Charlie used to be very high up in the tier list, and even today, they still hold up relatively well, with Cornbloom at tier 1 and Charlie at tier 2. Cornbloom has finally found some competition with Gatian and Isolde, pushing her down from tier 0 as the 7-star of reality support. As Charlie, 37 is now a better star DPS even at P0 thanks to Junyangzi, who greatly increased her Eureka generation. Sasuke and X are specialists who are loaded with CC. Both of them will be at tier 2 due to being niche, but they really are very useful during some limbos. X focuses more on dispelling, with bonus effect of silencing when the spell triggers, and can strip enemy Moxie with his ultimate. Sasuke on the other hand focuses on petrifying enemy. The Stunlock team, which consists of Druvis III, Sasuke, and An can be extremely useful against stages that do not have CC immunity and CC resistance. Necrologist will be the only tier 0.5 5-star we have in this tier list. With all the endgame content being 4-on-field fights, she no longer has issue gaining Moxie. The revive from player is extremely useful for some fights in Limbo or Raid, and at P5, she can provide 50% damage bonus for 3 turns with her ultimate, which is absolutely insane for raids. Even with Gatian and Isolde, she is still a very good option in the majority of raids. Now that was all the 5-star I consider relevant at the moment, and let's get started with 6 stars. For the ones that were released with the game, they're all basically shifted down tier. Units that hit the hardest are Eternity and Lydia. Lydia's usefulness as follow-up support for 37 is completely overtaken by Junyangzi, and the Junyangzi also completely overshadows Eternity. And Miss New Babel will stay down there, alone, by herself. With 1.1 we have Millennia and Pickles. If I were to make this video a couple weeks before, Millennia would be tier 0.5 as she is undoubtedly the strongest beast DPS at that point, especially in longer fights. But unfortunately, she suffered from the fact mental teams severely lack strong support right now compared to what we have in reality teams. But she will still sit comfortably at T1 along with Centurion. Pico is still a great support as he has the best dispel skill in the game. On top of being able to dispel positive status, positive effect, and counter, it can also hit 2 targets. But on the damage boosting side, he is rather mediocre compared to what we have now, so I will be placing him in tier 2. For patch 1.2, we have Jessica and 2/3. Even right now, Jessica is still one of the best DPS we have. In fact, she has become even better now because of the new reality support that we got recently, which is why she is tier 0.5. Tooth Fairy continues to perform as the best healer in the entire game, with her ability to passively boost team's critical chance and critical damage, on top of easily accessible Confusion debuff, which increases your critical chance by another 25%. A very deserving tier 0. For patch 1.3, we have Calabona and Shaman. Calabona herself is a very strong DPS. She has strong burst along with built-in penetration that allows her to do even more damage. But the issue here is very simple. Zhu does so much more damage, so she will only be sitting on tier 1. Shaman is also in kind of awkward position. He is very convenient support you can kind of throw everywhere. But his overall supporting capability seems to begin to lose its ground against the two new reality supports we're getting recently. He is still the only strong support that can reduce mental defense at the moment, but I'm not sure how long will he actually hold that position as well. For now, I will also place him in tier 1. For patch 1.4, which is the current patch for global, we have 6 and 37. 37 is the best star DPS we have currently, with a great focus on Genesis damage and AoE damage. Due to her focus on AoE damage, her single target damage is not that good at P0. Her DPS against single target is barely competitive against the like of Centurion, but at P2, she becomes much better than Centurion. While she is not necessarily as strong as other DPS at tier 0.5 at lower poetry, I will still place her in tier 0.5 since she is still the best option for star content, especially with Zhu. 6 is what I consider the second must pull after Tooth Fairy. Well, at least for those who care about meta. As a support character, he can do it all: buffs, debuffs, and incantation empowerment. Overall, every single 3 on-field team we have right now can be used into a 4 on-field fight with 6 as the 4th unit. Oh yeah, at P5 his ultimate can have up to 14-50% multiplier, making him one of the burstiest character in this game. He also is an important support to have when running Zhu, as his collection of buff will help Zhu to gain more Leaker, which is required for her to dash out more damage. The main downside of 6 is that he is not quite as good in a 3 on-field team compared to the more specialized support, especially in shorter fights. Overall, a very strong and versatile unit that deserves to be tier 0. For 1.5, we have Spithodia and Ezra. So Spithodia is kind of in the same category as Centurion, a physical beast DPS, but she does not have any way to do AoE damage. Instead, she is completely focused on single target burst. She was mediocre on release, but Getian and Isolde has made her much better. They can both provide tons of extra burst for her, with Isolde also providing tons of burning for the bonus critical damage in her ultimate. In fact, Spithodia can burst even harder than 6 when both are at P5. Burst is very good for Limbo and Raid, which is why I'm considering her the best beast DPS at the moment, placing her at tier 0.5. Now my favorite fanboy, Ezra. He's one of the tankiest units in the game, with a focus on HP. Even his damaging spell scales with HP. Similar to 37, his only damage skill also deals party Genesis damage that can crit. His main mechanic focuses on planting and bursting mushrooms, and the blue mushroom from his shield skill applies discernment to the entire team that lasts 2 critical strikes, which increases their critical damage by 40%. From a pure damage perspective, he's not the best, but he has a very convenient shield skill with damage boosting buff attached to it, making him useful in content where survival is an issue. For now, I'm still going to put Ezra at T2 for being niche, but as a better version of Miss New Babel, if survivability continues to be an issue in the future patches, he could be bumped up to T1. And now the Lunar New Year patch, with Getian and our first true limited unit, Zhu. Zhu is absolutely broken. Her skill multiplier is the highest we have ever seen due to the additional follow-up attack. Additionally, her attack skill counts as 1 follow-up attack, and her channeling skill counts as 2 follow-up attack for 37, which means she completely replaced Lydia outside of potential mineral star-favored Limbo, where they have to be put on separate teams. Her kit is complete at P0, with her portrait mostly just increase the damage she does directly. Zhu as a DPS is simply a tier above any other in this game, making her a deserved tier 0 alongside Tooth Fairy and 6. Getian is a great reality support who not only provides 15% reality defense reduction, he also does a lot of damage himself without the need of too many action points. Because his reality defense reduction comes from a named debuff called Shape of Bone, it can stack with any other defense reductions. On top of that, his ultimate generates a ray for 3 turns, which apply 20% damage bonus to allies, or 40% if they're reality type. This can also stack with other damage bonus buffs because buffs from array are counted separately. Because array will also override each other, Gutian can nullify different boss mechanic with his ultimate in the future. Some people are gonna disagree, but I think he deserves tier 0.5 because his buff and debuff can stack with others. At the time of this video, we're only at the first half of 1.7, so we will end this tier list with Isolde. Isolde is broken. She plays very similar to Gutian, but she's focused on burning, and her skills are actually good. She can passively apply tons of burns, with her follow-up attack Intermezzo almost guaranteed to trigger every single turn and deals free damage. Her ultimate also deals tons of damage due to its overflow mechanic. The most important thing, however, is that she makes Spathodia from an OP character to a meta character. On top of that, she also synergizes really well with 37 because her Intermezzo is a follow-up attack, and she also provides critical damage boost easily with her AoE debuff. Overall, I will place her in tier 0, especially if you use Gutian with her. And with that, this is all for this tier list. I hope this tier list will help you plan out your pulls in the next few patches. This has been SteamBandX, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.